Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Our guests on the dais will be arriving shortly. I would request everyone to kindly take their seats. Thank you.
Hello, 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 one, two, three.
Ladies and gentlemen, our guests on the dais have arrived. May we please have a big round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to all of you. On behalf of the IBBI, I extend a warm welcome to all the distinguished invitees to the 8th annual day of the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India. We are honored to have with us today our distinguished guests on the dais. I extend a warm welcome to Honorable President, National Company Law Tribunal, Chief Justice Retired Sri Ramalingam Sudhakar, India's G20 Sherpa and former CEO Niti Aayog Sri Amitabh Kant, Chief Economic Advisor, Ministry of Finance, Dr. V. Anant Nageswaran, Chairperson IBBI Sri Ravi Mittal, Whole-time Member IBBI Sri Jayanti Prasad, and Whole-time Member IBBI Sri Sandeep Garg. May we please have a round of applause and welcome our guests. I would also like to welcome honorable members of the NCLAT and NCLT, members of the Governing Board of IBBI, members of various committees, expert groups and working groups of IBBI, senior officers from the MCA, Department of Economic Affairs and other ministries and departments, chairman and managing directors of IPAs, IU, RVOs, insolvency professional entities, registered valuer entities, insolvency professionals and registered valuers, students and faculty of the postgraduate insolvency program, and all other participants present here today. I also take this opportunity to apologize for the last moment change in venue. We are very grateful to all of you to join us today. We begin our celebrations today with the lighting of the ceremonial lamp. May I request the dignitaries on the dais to kindly light the lamp. Thank you, sir. As a token of our gratitude, we would like to present plant saplings to our esteemed dignitaries on the dais. Our gratitude to Honorable President, National Company Law Tribunal, Chief Justice Retired Sri Ramalingam Sudhakar. India's G20 Sherpa and former CEO Niti Aayog, Sri Amitabh Kant. Many thanks to Chief Economic Advisor, Ministry of Finance, Dr. V. Anant Nageswaran. Chairperson IBBI, Shri Ravi Mittal. Whole-time member IBBI, Shri Jayanti Prasad. Whole-time member IBBI, Shri Sandeep Garg. May I now request Chairperson IBBI, Shri Ravi Mittal, to kindly deliver the welcome address.
Good afternoon, namaste. Dignitaries on the stage, President NCLT, Chief Justice Shri Sudhakar ji, who is providing leadership to the entire IBC ecosystem, G20 Sherpa, Mr. Amitabh Kanji, who is well known for issues such as the campaign for God's own country in Kerala, Incredible India campaign in India or the whole of the country. He pioneered the dedicated freight corridor project, which I think should now be almost complete. The Make in India program, PLI schemes, initiation of the PLI schemes, and holding the G20 last year. I must have missed quite a bit because he would have, done quite more. Our Chief Economic Advisor, Nageshwan ji. The reason why India is today one of the fastest developing or fastest economy in the world, I think his advice or his contribution must have helped in this. My two colleagues, Jayanti ji and Sandeep Garg ji, other dignitaries present here, members of NCLT, NCLAT, officers from MCA, resolution professionals, lawyers, media personnel. I want to thank you very much for coming to our annual day function today. We are celebrating our 8th annual day today, and IBC has also completed 8 years, or about a month or two back. In these 8 years, about 1,000 resolutions have been approved by NCLT. So 8 years, 1,000, what does it mean? About 125 resolutions on an average per year. But in the last 2 years, NCLT has approved 450 resolutions. What does this mean? 45% of the resolutions that have been approved by NCLT in 8 years have been approved in 2 years. Now let us see the recovery made to creditors. The IBC has helped direct recoveries of about 3.5 lakh crores to creditors. And about 1 lakh crore has happened in the last 2 years. That is 30% has happened in the last 2 years. Now this is what the current NCLT leadership and their members have done. Now if we continue like this, people will stop talking about delays in NCLT or delays in IBC. Imagine, today NCLT is approving, last year the NCLT approved 270 resolutions. Now, approving resolutions is just one thing, but it also helps in the government's aim towards Viksit Bharat. How? At the height of the NPA crisis, the bank's NPA were about 12-13 lakh crores. And out of which 3.5 lakh crores recovery has been done by the IBC process. But how does it help? It helps because this 3.5 lakh crores must have helped the creditors in giving further loans of 35 lakh crores. This is what IBC has done. Now, we requested IIM Ahmedabad to do a study of what has happened to companies that have been resolved by NCLT. And what we found is that companies resolved by NCLTs are now growing at their sales are growing at 25% per annum. Their market cap has increased by 6 times in 3 years. And we have similar figures for liquidity, for EBITDA, and so on and so forth. So what happens? IBC has provided direct money to the creditors, enabling them to lend more. And secondly, the companies which have been resolved, the unproductive assets have become productive, and those assets are now growing at a good speed, and they are adding to the GDP of our country. So this is what IBC has done in the last few years. Now, we in IBBI, we try to help the NCLT in doing their work. In the last 1 year, for example, we have organized 3 camps or 3 conferences for the resolution professionals, 1 for the resolution applicants, and several training programs, more than about 100 training programs. Now, what does this help? This helps in increasing the knowledge level of our RPs, of our valuers, of our resolution applicants. And let me tell you, our resolution professionals, our resolution applicants are the best in the world. Now, why am I saying so? What makes me say so? Do you know that the largest home buyer project, has been resolved in India? Last year, the JP project, which was resolved, had more than 20,000 homes. And a project of this size in the home buyers sphere has not been resolved anywhere in the world. Last year, Honorable President had gone to San Diego. Now, when he returned from San Diego, there was an INSOL conference. So he was telling me about that conference. And what he was telling me was that the participants from US, Canada, UK were all talking basics. And he says, I was getting bored because, we are far ahead of these countries in these kind of things. And he told me to tell INSOL that they should now, increase their level or raise their level and start discussing things which are complicated, which are important, and so on and so forth. So, what I want to say is that we should not feel shy that, our IBC is just 8 years old, we are still learning. No, sir, we have learned. And the work that we are doing is second to no one in the world. I had told my officers, some of whom are sitting here, about a few months back, to check on the internet as to what is the progress of other countries in their resolution process. An INSOL team had also come to meet us, and I asked them also that this is my progress. And we publish it every quarterly, everything. So this is our progress. So what is the progress of other countries? We want to see, we want to understand. But we have not been able to find that kind of literature or that kind of publication anywhere in the world. And we publish at least one book every year, one research publication every year, which we will release today. But normally we publish 2 and we will be publishing 2 this year. So 1 we will release this year. So we gave a set of our books to the install people. They had 10, 12 books. So we gave them a set of books and we also said these are also available on our website. But if you want, you can take the hard copies. Now the install people said we have not seen this kind of research publications anywhere in the world. So this is the kind of work that the Indian IBC ecosystem is doing, and we should feel proud about it. You know, when you read newspaper articles, and you means all of us, when we read newspaper articles, we hear 2 things about IBC. 1, there are delays, and 2, there are haircuts. Now, I just want to say 2 sentences about them and then complete what I want to say. We had got a study done in our office, and we found that when cases are admitted into IBC, they have already lost 50%, more than 50% of their value. Now, IBC is not responsible if the creditors bring the cases late. IBC is responsible once a case is brought before IBC. And if you look at recovery as a percentage of fair value, we recover 84%. We may be recovering 32% as depending on their claims. But you know, why should IBC be responsible when cases are not brought before IBC? So as far as IBC is concerned, our recovery rate is 84% of the fair value and about 170% of the liquidation value. Let us look at delays. Now, you know, people say that so much time is taken in admission, so much time is taken in resolution. Yes, it's true, time is taken. But the difference is that all over the world, and I'm saying all over the world, except very few aberrations, it is promoter or the debtor in possession model. Here it is creditor in possession model. Now, if the company is in possession of the debtor or in the possession of the company, he has no reasons to try to oppose the admission. In India, on the other hand, it is creditor in control. So the debtor tries his best to ensure that the case is not admitted. And that is one of the biggest reasons. Now, I again requested those install people that if there are a few creditor in control cases all over the world, I said, please tell me the delay there. Please don't compare my delays to debtor in control models. Please compare my delays to creditor in control cases. And about haircuts, I have already said, compare me, compare us, compare IBC once it is admitted into IBC. Now, Amitabh Kanji would know better. There was a time when the World Bank used to publish the Ease of Doing Business Index. Now, we were also evaluated. We still don't know the matrix on which we were evaluated, but our recovery rate was comparable to recovery rate in Europe. Because there they do not compare it with the bank's claims. They have a different way of comparing, and our recovery rates were comparable to Europe's recovery rate, better than US recovery rates. Now, I believe that in 2026 we will again have an evaluation, and I hope that our work will be recognized, and we will be second to none. So I again welcome the dignitaries on the stage and all of you here to this function. And thank you for coming.
Thank you, sir, for your welcome remarks. We are honored to have with us today the Chief Economic Advisor, Dr. V. Anant Nageswaran, to deliver the special address. Sir, may I request you to kindly address the audience.
Honorable Retired Chief Justice, President NCLT, Shri Ramalingam Sudhakar, Shri Amitabh Kant Sir, G20 Sherpa, Shri Ravi Mittal, Chairperson IBBI, whole-time members of IBBI, members of the officers in IBBI, Ministry of Corporate Affairs employees, ladies and gentlemen. I thank the IBBA chairperson for inviting me to share the joyous moment as the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board celebrates its 8th anniversary. As you could see from his remarks, it is not just that he delivers the statistics, but the passion and the emotional commitment he brings to his work was palpable. And it was extremely gratifying to note that the pace of resolutions have picked up in the last 2 years quite significantly, as he put it. And also he gave a very credible and reasonable defense of the time that it takes for resolution to happen, given that the models around the world and in India are very different. So that he is able to bring out all this and still want to keep striving for better results is a very good sign. It augurs well for the future of the insolvency and bankruptcy process and the ecosystem in the country. Therefore, it is a double pleasure for me to be present here on this occasion. In his famous theory of economic development, Austrian economist Joseph Schumpeter, he coined the term creative destruction. And he defined it as the process of industrial mutation that incessantly revolutionizes the economic structure from within, incessantly destroying the old one and incessantly creating a new one, unquote. This process of creative destruction, uniquely embodied in Hinduism as the Nataraja form of Lord Shiva, shows that creative forces need not be generative alone. The IBC and its work for the economy can be surmised as a continuous process of creative destruction, which will in turn propel economic growth for the nation. The primary goal of IBC is resolution, not recovery. Therefore, the quality parameter for judging the IBC should be its ability to resolve corporate stresses in cases where the continuation value from company operations exceeds the liquidation value. A well-functioning bankruptcy resolution system will minimize the cost of liquidation, that is, redeploying specialized assets and the loss of valuable organizational capital. For most countries, bankruptcy resolution is more of an exception than the norm. Often, bankruptcy laws are historically developed to liquidate failed businesses and are slow to resolve financial distress for viable companies, as restructuring involves more information gathering, financial analysis, operational expertise, and coordination. While the direct approach is important, the nuanced approach of resolution, which is where India is specializing in, is where the mettle of bankruptcy institutions is tested and truly shines. Looking at 8 years of IBC from the resolution perspective, the reform has significantly altered the bankruptcy landscape in India. Data from IBBI, which the chairperson already shared with you partially, but they bear repetition, shows that creditors have on average realized 32% of the admitted claims and 168% of the liquidation value in cases resolved under IBC. As he correctly put it, IBC is not responsible for the delay when the cases are brought before the resolution process. Therefore, much of the value may be destroyed by the time it already reaches the IBC process. And as he pointed out, the 2023 study by IIM Ahmedabad shows that the average sales of previously distressed firms increased 76% in the 3 years since resolution. The resolved firms have operationally broken even in the post-resolution period. A 50% increase in average employee expenses in 3 years post-resolution was witnessed. That indicates a higher employment intensity in the resolved firms in the post-resolution period. The total employment across listed firms has also shown a substantial increase in the post-resolution period. Liquidity improves by 80% after resolution. For instance, the current asset to current liability ratio have improved from 1.01 in the year of bankruptcy to 1.83 in 3 years post-resolution. Market capitalization of the resolved firms indicates a significant revival in the average market valuation post-resolution. A similar trend is seen for the aggregate market valuation of all resolved firms, which increased from around 2 lakh crores to 6 lakh crores in the post-resolution phase. Thus, the results suggest that the market has priced and acknowledged the potential of these firms in the post-resolution period. The intrinsic merit of these firms remains and is restored in the resolution process, which is very different from the recovery and restructuring process. Survey participants were largely satisfied with the resolution process and exuded confidence in their ability to meet the projected goals of business revival. An orderly resolution framework will indeed tether the volatility of India's credit cycles. Using data on bankruptcy efficiency and business credit across 39 countries, a recent NBER paper documents that credit booms are followed by severe economic contractions in environments with poorly functioning business bankruptcies. They find that following a 10 percentage point increase in business credit to GDP over the past 5 years, output in the next 5 years declines by around 3 percentage points if bankruptcy efficiency is at the bottom quartile. They also observe substantial declines in investment and consumption, increase in unemployment in countries with low bankruptcy efficiency, but to a limited extent in countries with high bankruptcy efficiency. In settings with a well-functioning business bankruptcy, the aftermath of a credit boom is characterized by only modest changes in output, investment, and unemployment. So in fact, I don't want this to be tested in India for a long time to come, because we recently came out of a credit bust in the second decade of the millennium. However, credit busts are always as inevitable as credit booms, except that we want to lengthen the gap between the two busts, credit bust. But as and when the next credit bust occurs, whenever it is, then we will realize the value of the IBC process that we have put in place. And if these results by the NBER study or any validation, the next credit bust will leave a far less impactful, far less adverse scar or deep scar than the previous credit bust did in India, either in this millennium or in the past millennium. Let's also examine the case of Japan, given its bankruptcy reform and credit cycle. Their experience vividly demonstrates the significance of bankruptcy institutions in credit cycles during the last 2 decades of the 20th century. Until the late 1990s, Japan's bankruptcy institutions were underdeveloped and characterized by a slow process focused on liquidation. Business lending in Japan had traditionally depended heavily on real estate, leading to a sharp credit boom when property prices surged in the late 1980s. However, the boom ended with the collapse of the real estate prices, resulting in severe and prolonged negative macroeconomic shocks. The inefficient bankruptcy system made it difficult to resolve bad debt, leaving firms burdened by debt overhang and banks struggling with non-performing loans, often resorting to evergreening loans due to cumbersome default resolution process. These issues intensified credit contraction, resources misallocation, and economic downturn. The bad debt problem worsened and remained persistent. The policymakers in Japan acknowledged the critical role of bankruptcy institutions and initiated major reforms between 1996 and 2005. In India, IBC acts as a systemic benefit creator through multiple channels. An immediate impact of the IBC has been to resolve the twin balance sheet problem of banks and corporates in the second decade of this millennium. The IBC rescued 3,293 corporate debtors till June 2024. About 1,005 corporate insolvency resolution processes have yielded resolution by the end of June 2024, taking an average of 571 days to conclude. There are over 4,400 insolvency professionals registered as of June 2024. Inevitably, the IBC has also generated system benefits in other areas of the economy. Below, we list some key research findings of the ripple effects that IBC have created for the better. Forex hedging by firms. Research shows that currency mismatches in the corporate sector have reduced after India's bankruptcy reform. BIS research from 2018 shows that the probability of the treatment group of firms hedging currency exposures increased relative to the years before the law was changed in India. The likelihood of firms with a high degree of currency mismatch issuing external commercial borrowing loans on a fully hedged basis went up by 14% nearly following the introduction of the bankruptcy law. Reducing bond credit spread. Dr. Rajeshwari Sengupta and Harshvardhan find that the IBC lowered credit spreads for bonds issued by non-financial firms in the period between 2016-17 and 1920 compared to the bonds issued by the finance firms in the previous 2 years. An effective bankruptcy resolution regime is therefore critical for bond investors to develop confidence in the Indian market. Currently, the bond market is skewed towards highly rated bonds, AAA and AA, which account for more than 85% of the all issuances. To develop a deep and liquid market for lower rated bonds, investor confidence in effective bankruptcy resolution will be crucial. And we believe that the current IBC regime will therefore facilitate the development of bond market in India with much wider spread of credit ratings as well in the years to come. With respect to exports, research findings for a large sample of 4,434 firms between 2000 and 2020 suggest that exporting firms in India have benefited from the bankruptcy reform law by helping them access credit better and also get out of financial constraints. Indeed, bankruptcy reform is a continuous process. Its efficiency is higher if the viable company can continue to operate and the procedure doesn't take too long or incur too much of cost. Essentially, restructuring and insolvency services need to be prepared to ensure companies can fail well and fail fast. It is important to note that the extent of creditor recovery does not reflect the efficiency of insolvency services. About 5 years ago, Orchid Healthcare Limited and Gotaringa Minerals Limited caught the media attention when it came to light that they owed rupees 8,163 crores to creditors with absolutely no assets when they entered the IBC process. On the contrary, two other companies, Binani Cements and MBL Infrastructure, yielded 100% recovery. The contrast between creditor recoveries for these companies reveals that recovery only reflects the extent of value erosion by the time the companies entered the resolution process, as the chairperson also very correctly pointed out. In general, Recoveries are influenced by several factors, including the nature of the business cycles, and market sentiments. The next step towards bankruptcy reform is to improve operational efficiencies to speed up the resolution process. This is especially important for MSMEs for whom legal costs can prove to be substantial. Improving the efficiencies in the system comes down to using innovative resolution routes such as pre-pack arrangements for MSMEs, interdisciplinary capacity building of resolution professionals across legal, financial, and industry basics, and minimizing judiciary delays in the proceedings. Operational efficiencies require a balancing act between fairness and fastness of resolution. While institutional infrastructure must improve to perform this balancing act better, creditors' trust in debtors must also be enhanced. A behavioral change in the attitude of promoters is important and vital to enhancing this trust. In conclusion, macroprudential tools are handy for muting the effects of credit cycles. However, a good bankruptcy regime is a backstop during downswings, reducing the need for costly macroprudential interventions. A continuously evolving and improving IBC framework is important for India to achieve a 7 to 8% growth rate over the next decade. India's growth aspirations require capital to operate at the frontiers of productivity and efficiency. An efficient bankruptcy system will free up capital, allowing better production, employment, and growth prospects. Therefore, I wish IBBI many more years of happy celebrations and contribution to the vital role of making sure that Indian firms come back into resolution and recovery faster than before, contributing to national output and national productivity. Thanking you all for the opportunity to share my thoughts with you.
Thank you, sir, for your insightful address and for highlighting the ripple effects that a good insolvency system can have on the micro and macroeconomic indicators. On the occasion of IBBI's annual day, we take this opportunity to release IBBI's annual day publication titled IBC के 8 वर्ष शोध एवं विश्लेषण. This publication of IBBI, sixth in the series, delves into the intricate dynamics of IBC, examining the role and effectiveness of key stakeholders, analyzing the evolving insolvency regime, intersection of taxation laws and insolvency, evolving legal obligations under international conventions, and so on. This publication features 9 research papers which were presented at the IIM Ahmedabad Annual Research Workshop on Insolvency and Bankruptcy held in March 2024. The IBBI is grateful to all the authors for contributing to this prestigious publication. May I request the dignitaries on the dais to kindly unveil the publication. Thank you, sir. We are pleased to announce that IBBI successfully conducted the 5th edition of the National Online Quiz on the IBC from 1st to 31st August 2024 in collaboration with mygov.in and BSE Investors Protection Fund. The online quiz was intended to further promote awareness and understanding of the IBC among various stakeholders spread across the country. The quiz received an enthusiastic response, and we had thousands of participants. We take this opportunity to award the top 3 best performers of the quiz. The Best Performer Award goes to Mr. Mayank Rathi. May I request Chief Justice Retired Shri Ramalingam Sudhakar, Honorable President NCLT, to kindly present the gold medal, certificate, and cash prize of rupees 1 lakh to Mr. Mayank Rathi. Mr. Rathi, may I request you to kindly come to the stage? Thank you, sir. The second best performer award goes to Ms. Shweta Pant. May I request Shri Amitabh Kant, former CEO Niti Aayog and India's G20 Sherpa, to kindly present the silver medal, certificate and cash prize of rupees 50,000. The third best performer award goes to Ms. Sangeeta. Ms. Sangeeta has not been able to attend the event today. I therefore request Ms. Archana Sharma to kindly accept the award on her behalf. I request Dr. V. Anant Nageswaran to kindly present the bronze medal certificate and cash prize of rupees 25,000. Thank you, sir, and many congratulations again to the prize winners. To commemorate its establishment, the IBBI has instituted an annual day lecture series. We are privileged to have with us today Shri Amitabh Kantji to deliver this year's annual day lecture. So we extend a warm welcome to you and request you to kindly deliver this year's lecture.
Chief Justice, retired Shri Ramalingam Sudhakar, under whose leadership the NCLT has done remarkable work. Honorable, my distinguished colleague Shri Ravi Mittal, the chairperson IBBI, Dr. V. Anant Nageswaran, Chief Economic Advisor, Ministry of Finance, Mr. Jayanti Prasad, Mr. Sandeep Garg, members of IBBI, very distinguished guests, and ladies and gentlemen. Today we gather to celebrate the 8th annual day of the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India, an institution that has become a cornerstone of corporate governance and economic stability in India. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been closely associated with this from the time we were spearheading the ease of doing business movement in the Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion. We were then ranked 142 in the World Bank Ease of Doing Business, and subsequently, the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016 made us jump up very substantially. We had actually jumped up by doing work on bankruptcy code and many other areas. We jumped up 79 positions in the World Bank ranking. I'm sure that this code will help us when the World Bank restores this in 2026. It will help us to reach the top 10 of the ease of doing business. The IBBI is entrusted with the imperative responsibility of implementing a transformative framework
for insolvency resolution and reorganization. It plays a very pivotal role in promoting entrepreneurship, enhancing access to credit, and balancing stakeholder interest. From its outset, the IBC has marked a significant shift in India's approach to financial distress. Once we were characterized by the notion that India transitioned from socialism without an entry to capitalism without an exit. This paradigm shifted with the introduction of the IBC, which provided a much-needed mechanism to address insolvency issues in a time-bound and efficient manner. The IBC, passed in May 2016, has played a transformative role in the Indian economy. At the time of its enactment, we were grappling with a twin balance sheet crisis where non-performing assets were hovering close to 12%. This resulted in the choking of fresh credit, which is the jet fuel for any economy, stalling economic growth. The IBC emerged as a lighthouse of a new era, ushering in what Justice Nariman eloquently paraphrased from John Milton as a defaulter's paradise lost. It engendered a culture of corporate accountability and credit discipline. Credit contract regained their sanctity. A behavioral shift occurred where borrowers realized that they needed to repay their debts. NPAs are now at a historic low. Bank balance sheets are robust, credit is growing at a healthy clip, and growth is back on track in the Indian economy. As per June 2024 RBI's report, the gross NPAs ratio of scheduled commercial banks stand at 12-year low of 2.8% and net NPA ratio to 0.6% for year ending March 2024. The IBC was successful because the entire ecosystem and the institutional infrastructure, from regulators, including the newly created IBBI, the legislature, the courts, the banks, and the market, came together and played their part. However, as we look at 2024, we must acknowledge some concerns regarding the present functioning of the IBC, indicating a need for a second generation of reforms. Analysis of IBBI's own data shows that insolvency resolution at the National Company Law Tribunal averaged 716 days in the last fiscal years, up from 654 days in 2022-23. More concerning is the average time taken for the admission of cases, which stood at 468 days in financial year 21 and increased to 650 days in financial year 2022. I understand that an amendment to the code is under consideration wherein the record of default certificate issued by the information utility would be sufficient to substantiate default without any further deliberations. This would expedite the admission process and bring it in line with the time prescribed in the code. Recovery from the defaulters under the Insolvency Bankruptcy Code decreased in 2023-24 from the previous year, although 42% more cases saw resolution during the financial year. The rate of recovery fell to 27% of the creditors' admitted claims in 23-24 from 36% in the previous year, pulling down the cumulative recovery since the IBC was introduced in 2016 to 32%. However, the recovery to creditors during the first quarter ending July 2024 has again climbed back to over 31%. In absolute terms, the cumulative recovery from resolved firms stood at 3.3 lakh crore. However, recovery touched 85% of the fair value of stressed companies when admitted for resolution and 161.8% of the liquidation value. I understand that the creditors are applying for admission under IBC more than 2 years after the account has been NPA. Delay in filing applications would lead to a loss of value for the asset. The IBBI studies show that about 50% of value is eroded before the companies are admitted in IBC. Therefore, it is necessary that the creditor should apply for admission as early as possible. Moreover, the IBC allows for withdrawal in case of settlement with creditors post-admission. As we know, there is an inverse relation between time and value, and accordingly, the delays are depressing the value recovered. Credible threats of IBC that corporate debtors may change hands has changed the behavior of debtors. Till March 2024, more than 28,000 applications for initiation of resolution process of corporate debtors having underlying default of more than rupees 10 lakh crore were withdrawn before the admission of resolution application. The institutional infrastructure, to my mind, needs significant augmentation to improve admission and resolution timelines. The environment in which NCLT works has to be greatly enhanced and made more conducive to productivity. It has to be brought on par with the best global systems and making it better than even the US or UK bankruptcy court system. Recent rulings regarding the IBC have deviated from the established position regarding 1. The supremacy of the commercial wisdom of the Committee of Creditors. Secondly, the established waterfall of dues with the state's dues being subordinated. Thirdly, the requirement for the NCLT to admit a petition when a financial debt exists without exercising any measure of discretion. Furthermore, substantive changes to the IBC on issues of cross-border insolvency, creditor rights, sector-specific nuances, and pre-packs are necessary. The finance minister is cognizant of this and in a budget speech stated, and I quote, "Appropriate changes to the IBC reforms and strengthening of the tribunal and appellate tribunals will be initiated to speed up insolvency resolution," bracket closed. I will in this speech set out some of the reforms that could be considered to bolster the excellent foundation of the IBC, as well as to strengthen the institutional infrastructure of the IBC. But before that, it is IBBI Day, and so it is useful to take a long view and take stock of the IBC and the various institutions, including IBBI, and their role in making IBC the tremendous success that it is. So much so that the International Monetary Fund called it a Big Bang reform. You could say there are 3 phases of the development of IBC since its inception. The phase 1 was 2016 to 2020. The IBC as a statute utilized a combination of international best practices and India-specific reforms considering ground realities. It adopted a creditor-in-control model which was distinct from the US Chapter 11 and somewhat similar to the UK system. The IBC sought to forge consensus amongst creditors and prevent holdouts by providing for cross-class cram-down, ensuring that when 66% of creditors agree, it is binding on all. This model was protected by offering liquidation value, reflecting a World Bank best practice that has since been incorporated into the UK's Corporate Insolvency and Governance Act 2020. The IBC also established a new institution, a new regulator, the IBBI, which has been agile, adaptive, and adept at responding to the challenges of this transformative new law, along with specialized courts and a class of professionals known as resolution professionals. All arms of government and regulators work together to ensure its success, with the judiciary providing crucial decisions that upheld the constitutionality and the architecture of the Act. The phase 2 was 2020 to 2022. A moratorium on new cases was issued in March 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic, barring creditors from filing applications. Provisions were added to specify that no applications for initiations of corporate insolvency resolution process for defaults occurring during the COVID period could ever be filed. A modified version of the IBC was utilized to resolve non-bank finance company distress. One of the largest cases was the resolution of DHFL. Through the IBC, financial sector resolution involved close to Indian rupee 85,000 crore while protecting depositor rights. And the phase 3, 2022 to present, since the resolution of the last cases, there has been a significant slowdown in the process. The capacity of the tribunal and its providing its adequate support is a major concern that impacts both speed and quality. It is necessary that all of us in the government provide it all the infrastructure support so that it is able to function with the best of its capability. The ongoing resolution processes of the central bank are being utilized. Several important amendments, including those concerning cross-border insolvency and pre-packs, are currently on hold. The increased use of private credit may necessitate the review and adjustment of upcoming legal frameworks. Ladies and gentlemen, it is often said that justice delayed is justice denied. We need a breakthrough idea to fix this. And there is a need for tribunal process re-engineering. It is essential to minimize judicial bandwidth on administrative matters while opening non-core functions to innovative non-sovereign or private players to deploy technology for improved court management. I am a strong believer that science and technology can solve pressing issues. For instance, look at how rapidly we evolved the COVID-19 vaccine. We need to open our doors to the private sector and cutting-edge technology while carefully preserving the core of the sovereign judicial functions. For example, the privatization of passport seva kendras has resulted in a seamless process, and similar models could work for court processes. Innovations from global examples such as the autonomous His Majesty's Court and Tribunal Services in the UK and Court Administration Service in Canada can guide us in transforming our judicial processes. With investments in private capital and future-ready innovations, judicial process re-engineering could enhance the administration of justice in India, thus significantly reducing errors. Secondly, clarifying ambiguity on key legal principles. It is important to clarify the position on government dues following the Rainbow case. The Rainbow Papers case highlighted the statutory priorities of VAT versus IBC, stating that the Committee of Creditors cannot secure their own dues at the cost of statutory dues owed to any government. This seems to contradict the legislative intent behind the IBC, which aimed for lower priority for government dues compared to secured lenders and financial institutions. A statutory amendment or reconsideration by a larger bench is required. Thirdly, addressing legislative lacuna on cross-border insolvency. India has yet to adopt a cross-border insolvency framework, whether under the unilateral model law on cross-border insolvency framework or otherwise. Sections 234 and 235 of the IBC provide only an enabling framework for cross-border insolvency, which is yet to be acted upon. The provisions allow bilateral or multilateral agreements for the enforcement of cross-border insolvency, but practical implementation is necessary. There have been innovations like the protocol for cooperation established in the Jet Airways case, but with an integrating global economy and India becoming an integral part of global value chains, we will ultimately need a model law on cross-border insolvency. Ladies and gentlemen, I understand that a comprehensive review of IBC was undertaken last year and amendments are under consideration of the government. These amendments are expected to reduce delays and increase the recovery of creditors. I am particularly enthused by proposed amendments which relate to use of IU certificate during admission separate of bid and distribution during resolution approval and innovation such as creditor-led insolvency process. This creditor-led insolvency resolution process is based on best international practices and will actually revolutionize the resolution process by reducing the load of NCLT while ensuring judicial oversight over the entire process. Ladies and gentlemen, the progress we have made over the past 8 years is commendable and has earned recognition. However, as we step into the next phase of our journey, continuous dialogue, collaboration, and technological innovation will be essential to strengthening our insolvency framework. Enhancing the IBC is a vital enabler of economic growth. It will not be possible for India to become a Viksit Bharat or grow at rapid rates of 8 to 9% per annum year after year without creating a resilient and sustainable insolvency regime that upholds the interest of all stakeholders. Together with determination and clarity, we can further build upon the solid foundations of the IBC and IBBI, assuring a brighter economic future for India and ensuring that we are able to grow rapidly till 2047. Thank you for your attention and your ongoing commitment to the advancement of the insolvency and bankruptcy landscape in our country. I really wish a great future where our regulatory framework continues to evolve, it continues to adapt to the changing needs of our economy and society, and continues to make India grow at rapid rates. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, sir, for your insightful address and taking us through the journey of the code in the 3 phases, as you said, and the next phase for generational reforms. Thank you, sir. The IBBI is immensely grateful to our chief guest, Chief Justice Retired Shri Ramalingam Sudhakar, Honorable President NCLT, for joining today's celebration. Sir, may I request you to kindly address the audience.
Warm good evening to all of you. There is still an echo here of the great strides of IBC. So I'm allowing it to settle down, thanks to Sri Amitabh Kant, sir. So much of his words are ringing in my ears. Shri Dr. V. Anantha Nageshwaran, Chief Economic Advisor. Some interesting points I got from his speech, and I've also borrowed it, and I'll tell you the reason also. Shri Ravi Mittal sir, Chairman IBBI, my dearest and affectionate friend, and my critic and good friend, Mr. Sandeep Garg, and Dr. Jayant Prasad, and so many other members of the IBBI, my dear brothers of NCLT, and members of Honorable NCLAT, former members of NCLT, members of the legal fraternity, IPs, banking and other financial institutions, and legal researchers, friends and ladies and gentlemen, if I missed, sorry. I think there is some representation from the MCA also. Thank you, madam, for having chosen to come today. It's my great pleasure to be part of the 8th annual day celebrations of IBBI and preside over it as chief guest. As president of NCLT, I represent one pillar of the system that guides and empowers the corporate governance and insolvency resolution. I congratulate the chairman of IBBI, board of members of IBBI, whole-time directors and his team on the great strides that they have made over the years to make this law a game changer in the financial and economic policy of India. India took to change in the insolvency law after great deliberations, assessing the positive and negative aspects of insolvency in other jurisdictions. The code endeavors to address insolvency in a more effective and a time-bound manner. When I say time-bound manner, our intention is to achieve the timeline specified under the code. And I gave a promise to IBBI chairman, it is my endeavor to attempt this, and I am continuing to do so. Our sincere endeavor has shown great results, but the critical timeline envisaged under the code is yet to be achieved, and I believe it can be. This can happen only when all the three pillars join together, that is, NCLT, IBBI, and the ministry. IBC, through its regulatory body, has been transformed and reshaped the Indian insolvency landscape. The code is a dynamic and living entity, evolving, adapting, and improving to support the adjudicatory process of NCLT. This great achievement is inclusive on account of the regulator, the adjudicatory authority, as also active participation of financial creditors, operational creditors, banks, IPs, members of the legal fraternity, company secretaries, home buyers, creditors of all classes, including corporate debtors of the other stakeholders. The Ministry of Corporate Affairs provides a platform and assistance to enable NCLT to perform. The support and cooperation of all three are critical for effective implementation of the code. I recall the statement of Honorable President of India in her address to the Parliament, appreciating IBC as one of the transformative reforms. Honorable President of India stated that IBC has made Indian banking sector one of the strongest in the world. Honorable Prime Minister of India has appreciated the landmark achievements of settlement of cases before admission due to the efficiency of the code and the adjudicating process. Honorable Finance Minister has appreciated the code for a better legal framework among all other similar laws. The achievement of NCLT through IBC within the short span of 7 years was highlighted. You may wonder how this happened. Primarily, when a code is set in motion and adjudicated, it has several hurdles like challenge to the provisions of the code. We then had COVID-19. One may wonder as to why, in a case of debt and default, there is a long delay in admission in the CIRP. Let me explain. Banks and other financial institutions file petitions containing 20 to 30 volumes of documents. Reply is filed in another 20 to 30 volumes. There is again convenience compilation. A battery of stalwarts of the legal fraternity appear and argue the case interpreting the loan agreement entered over a period of time, the tripartite agreements, and there are innumerable inter se agreements which form part of the pleading in a case. Now, these are highway projects, steel projects, power projects, ports, housing projects, jewelers, and the list is endless. But then I pause here for a moment. In case of one jeweler's case, there were 39 volumes of documents filed. If some critics who can say that, as was pointed out by Shri Abhitam Khan, why is it taking 700 days, 600 days? Did you ever understand that this interpretation of this document is a legal argument? If you say debt and default as NESL certificate will hold good, we would have finished the job in 2 minutes. 2 minutes. You don't know this number at all. I can sit and do it myself in one quote. It can't. Now please understand, all these cases went up to the Supreme Court. Even now every application is going to the Honorable Supreme Court. Is it then an empty formality? Why does the Honorable Supreme Court hear the matters? So there is something in law that needs to be adjudicated. So please don't imagine that NCLT can do some magic by saying admit debt and default, admit. It can't. Because the law says, and the interpretation given by the superior court say that there has to be a fair, natural justice hearing and a resolution, adjudication on legal principles. Legal principles means it has to be with reason. We just can't say, yes, I look at the petition, I find there is a debt and default, hence admit. That can't happen. It will be set aside in 2 minutes. Waste, empty formality theory. We can't do that. Detailed orders are passed by the NCLT in the admission cases, interlocutory applications. It will make one realize the complex nature of the litigation, the complex nature of the case presented by the parties, the legal issues raised, the judgments of the Honorable Supreme Court and Honorable High Court relied upon. The best of the best legal luminaries appear before NCLT and argue the case at length. An informed and considered decision is given by the adjudicating authority. This cannot be done in a matter of few days, given the fact that arguments of both sides consume time than time stipulated under the code. It will not be an exaggeration to say that each one of these cases is like an original side civil suit or a commercial suit decided within the framework of IBC. One has to understand what a civil suit is. Unless you have practiced in the original side, you will not know. But I have. I have dealt with cases in the original side. I know what is an implication of a case. What is the level of argument is done by the lawyers in the original side. Just one document challenge in a civil suit goes up to the Supreme Court. See all the original side appeals. And look at here. Who are all the stakeholders? Not only the banks who come against the CD, there are so many operational creditors, each one clamoring for his rights. So this is a different code, a different law by itself. One important factor for this achievement of IBC is primarily due to the enormous and continuous support given by the Honorable Supreme Court in its various decisions interpreting the provisions of the code, making it a living legislation. We have to profusely thank the Honorable Supreme Court for his able guidance in this facet of law. Honorable High Courts have also given their share of ruling. However, one factor which troubles me is the corporate debtor are rushing to Honorable High Courts, bypassing alternate remedy despite the fact that an appeal is provided to the Honorable NCLAT. Needless to state that the Honorable NCLAT has been rendering good many wonderful rulings on the interpretation of the code. The rulings of the Supreme Court, the High Court and NCLAT on several landmark cases have enabled the march of law in this code. On its part, IBBI has been tweaking the code based on discussion to enable it to address various issues that trouble the adjudicating authority. Tailored approach for real estate cases, where amendments enable COC to direct RPs to invite separate plans for each real estate project, separate bank accounts for each real estate project, and also ensuring financial transparency and accountability. Needless to state, a large number of stressed assets of real estate resolved by IBC, like in the case of JP Infratech, is a very good example of the robustness of the code. Despite its initial fall, it got back on the rails by an order of the principal bench, in which a total of 150 volumes of documents and pleadings were presented. 150 volumes of documents and pleadings were presented. Please imagine what pain I would have gone through sitting with Brother Yalan Gupta sitting here. Just imagine that. 150 volumes, battery of lawyers, hundreds of home buyers. It's not possible. Please understand. Now I will just compare Dr. Anantha Nageshwaran was pointing out about Japan. I had the occasion to be in one of the Insol things and recently in Japan, and the participants from Japan was also there. But more interestingly, a judge from China was sitting next to me. And after I presented my paper, and I was speaking about this case about JP Infratech, she asked me, I'm just quoting, is there any method where we can cut short and long drawn insolvency process? You know what that case was? The biggest in China, Evergrande. The biggest, I think the biggest in the world. And that judge was grappling with it, not knowing how to, I don't know still it is resolved or not. I think researchers can do that. But that judge was asking so earnestly, is there any method we can tell me that can help in resolving this? See, what I'm saying is, there was also a judge from Japan. This is where we share our practices. As was rightly pointed out, Japan also still is in the process of learning on insolvency law. But I can say it because I know the judge is speaking, sitting next to me. Forget about what records say. This is a very complex law. So let us not take it very lightly, though our intention was debt and default and admission. Again, I repeat, it is not, it is complex. Please understand that. So having said that, one of the key factors of the code is that it could resolve big many high valued or socially and economically important issues by way of bankruptcy law. The next guiding factor by IBBI is the guidelines to COC, then some process in the liquidation method, enhancing stakeholders' confidence, flexibility in mechanism to fix the reserve price, greater oversight and cost and valuation methodology. These are few things which we can say, but maybe if you can go through the books, you will find that in detail. But what is more important is, IBBI has always been very proactive. Let me share my experience. In all these years as a judge, I never found a law which is dynamic and evolving. What happens is, by the time it goes through the process of legislative amendment, it takes long time. Judges, we do point out certain things and refer it to the law ministry. It goes to the law commission, and then it gets vetted and gets changed. But look here, there is an all-in-one person here. He's the chairman of IBBI, gets the ball rolling somehow and gets a solution to the problem. That is why I said it's a very dynamic law. And that makes it very friendly for a big stakeholders of you, like different, see, we are so many people here in this IBC ecosystem. Because he is able to respond in such a manner, we are able to perform. Now, is your ecosystem not doing very well? You are an IP, you are a lawyer, you are a bank. So everybody enjoys this fruit, as well as the country, the bank, the economy. Our chairperson IBBI was saying about the IIT report. What happens post the approval of the plan, or how it transforms into something very proactive. It has never happened before. So, who is to Lord? Every one of you have contributed to that. And that is what has transformed this into something, a living code. In the budget speech of 2024 or 2025, Honorable Finance Ministers has announced integrated technology platform for achieving consistency, transparency, timely process, better oversight for all stakeholders. I hope this will be taken on priority. The other aspect is, the most important aspect of IBC is corporate discipline and records that as per our monthly report on case progress, we call it MRCP, that greater achievement than all other courts, as on 27/9/24, 1,128 plans have been approved. Some achievements of NCLT which I am highlighting are 22-23, the percentage of recovery under IBC is 40.3%, more than 4 times that of recovery under DRT. In the year 23-24, NCLT achieved 37% increase in resolution plans approvals, jumping from 196 cases of 22-23 to 269 in 23-24. But then, while our plan numbers increased last time, our bench strength started decreasing. I put it on my website. My status report shows that I am going below the watermark. Now again I pause here and say something. The words of Mr. Abhita Kant and Dr. Nageshwar is also there. They spoke about economy, which I am very much interested, but then I'll tell you something. Why did we show this record last 2 years? I joined in 1st of November 2021. Within 2 years, we have shown something which I think all of you will appreciate, because the words have come from great stalwarts present here, and all of you know the records. Why did we do it? Our strength was not full. In many parliament questions, the day I joined, I gave a reply. Why is there delay? Why is this? Why is that happening? So many questions used to come. And MCA will say, give a reply within 24 hours, 48 hours, immediately, pronto. Humbly, we have to submit. And we did. But then one thing which I quoted from the day I joined, in the Madras Bar Association case, why NCLT was formed, they said take over company cases. Take over company cases, not IBC. It was not born. But then 63 judges were appointed only to deal with company cases because it got transferred from CLB, High Court, elsewhere. So when you put a new law in force, is it not required for the ministry to put new members, new judges? Is it true? Should be there or not? You agree? When a new child is born, you buy a new dress. The old time says your brother was wearing it, you please wear it. That is different. In our grandfather's time, they will say, no, we will not buy new things. You use the old one only till next Diwali. But look here, they never gave you. I've been asking again and again, not only to the ministry, to the Honorable Parliament also, they should give more numbers. Now I'm telling you, I'm no offense. I'm telling you a very simple thing. Give me the number, I will give you the result. Again, I come back to one statement. Just listen to this, sir, then you can go. Just 1 minute. Because this is very important, because you are chief economic advisor. Listen to this, what I am saying. Have you seen the movie Gladiator? All of you seen Gladiator? There is one hero who becomes a slave and is put in the arena, like this. Packed Romans, and there's an arena. Now, that hero, something happens, his name is, I don't know, I forget the name. Anybody got the name? Maximus. Did he survive in that fight? Did he win the fight or lose? He won, but he died. Died, okay. before he went to the arena, what happened to him? He was stabbed in the back with a knife and strapped. But yet, he fought and succeeded. I wanted to show that whatever is the limitation we have, we will show you success. Thank you, sir. I hope I made my point. There are other data which was given. I don't want to say because it was very eloquently said by our chairman and Dr. Abhita Kant. There's only two factors which I want to highlight. Is that Dr. Anantha Nageshwaran spoke about something very interesting, which all of you should also know. It's called reducing bond credit spread. IBC acts as a systemic benefit through multiple channels. Now, this important factor has to be kept in mind. The cases which come to us, as I told you, was prior to 15-16, when the banks gave a lot of money, re-greening, and it became a bad debt. Then finally, they had no other option. They came to IBC, and I do not want to find fault with financial institution. There may be 101 reasons, but then you come late. It's like this: a golden hour is necessary, but you come very late and you ask the doctor, why did he fail? You are asking the same question to NCLT or IBBI. Why don't you come within the golden hour and save yourself? You don't do that. So that is another problem. Now comes 2015-16, what has happened is, as I said earlier, lot of agreements, tripartite, this, that, what has happened, interpretation is taking time. Now, the speech of our economic advisor says, there is a change in the system. That is because of IBBI and NCLT. But then, what we are doing is, we are still treating the cancer. We are treating the cancer. So therefore, there is bound to be delay. Please understand, the reason is not because it is a new case we are not admitting. We can do it if there is a debt and default imminent. We are dealing with old cases. Please ask the chairman. These are old cases where multiple document banks have created lot of confusion in that, and therefore adjudication becomes necessary. So that is the point which I want to make. It is making an impact, but we are dealing with old cancers, so it has to take its old time for healing. Certainly it will heal. As I said, again, give me the number, I will show the result. To tackle the situation of COVID-19, we had a e-court with VC hearing as directed by the Supreme Court. It has helped in great many adjudicating process to all the stakeholders. In fact, parties are now participating through VC and they know what is happening in NCLT. I hope all of them take a cue. Then, as far as Section 95 cases are concerned, after the decision by the Supreme Court, now matters are being admitted on a regular basis against personal guarantors, despite their great innovative approach to stall these proceedings. One other feature which I have imbibed in the system is with the help of the chairman of IBBI, sir, is holding of regular colloquium for honorable members. This is a brainstorming session which helps us in honing our skills for better and effective adjudication, and the results are evident. I'm telling you, it has never seen in any, no other high court does, no other place this is done. This is the first, what you call, a very, very great achievement which we have made. The first colloquium was organized by me in March 2022, and thereafter taking a leaf out of the page, MC and IBBI did a major IBC colloquium in November 2022 with high-level participation and excellent results. Thereafter, we have been conducting regular colloquium with active participation of MC and IBBI, though there appears to be some resentment on the colloquium in some quarters. I feel that is the best method of learning for judges of the tribunal to refine and define themselves, and this credit also goes to honorable members of the NCLT who have been very, very cooperative with me in this grand success. This helps in empowering the institution and the country. I once again congratulate IBBI for its wonderful support and achievement within a short span of time. And this 8 years is a great milestone with great achievements, and we look forward to more such achievements in the years to come. And I seek all your cooperation for this wonderful law, so that it becomes a shining example to other countries. Because when we said, when the chairman was saying about what is comparable in other countries, I was also wondering, because I went to this colloquium in San Diego. You know, they were taking classes for some of the third world countries to begin with, what is insolvency and all that. I said, this is not done. It's not an international organization, doesn't take a class. So that's what I told Ravi sir, this is something he has to look up. They have to come up in stature. And India is a shining example of success in insolvency, thanks to wonderful participation from regulators, from lawyers, from ministry, from IPs, from LRAs. Everybody have contributed. Take pride in that. That's why I said it is a joyous occasion, because today it's like a birthday. Let us celebrate that annual day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your wonderful speech and for sharing all your valuable experiences and expertise. May I now request a whole-time member IBBI Shri Sandeep Garg to kindly propose the vote of thanks.
So I rise to the podium to express my sense of gratitude to all those who are present on the dais, off the dais, and especially those who are standing up behind, and hundreds of them outside this auditorium watching the live telecast. So a big round of applause for them. Melody Betty said, "Gratitude makes sense of our past, brings peace for today, and creates a vision for tomorrow." So by being grateful and thankful, we are preparing for tomorrow. We heard words of wisdom from Shri Sudhakar Ramlingam, Honorable President NCLT, with whom I have had the honor of interacting on several occasions. I am reminded of Judge's prayer to God. I recollect a small portion of this prayer. "Make my robe an incorruptible mantle. My pen should not be a fist that wounds, but the arrow showing trajectory of the law on the path of justice. Make me just and determined, honest and pure, open and humble. Let me be the one who applies the law, but above all, the one who fulfills it." In his case, this prayer stands fully answered. In the insolvency ecosystem, NCLT acts as the gatekeeper. All cases admitted and closed, either by way of resolution, liquidation, dissolution, withdrawal, etc., pass through the gate of NCLT. Once inside the gate, various other players play a role, like insolvency professionals, committee of creditors, etc. IBBI is regulating these players and also the rules of interaction between these players by amending the regulations. But it is the NCLT which ensures that due process has been followed by all these players. The performance of IBC ecosystem is dependent on the speed at which the cases are admitted and closed. He has brought out very eloquently how the NCLT has been making efforts and setting new records for increasing their speed, despite dealing with stacks of briefs, lengthy arguments, and several other constraints. With him at the helm of affairs, we expect even better results this year. Sir, praise for IBBI in your address carries a lot of weight for us and will keep us motivated. Thank you, sir, for your untiring work for the IBC ecosystem and your inspiring speech. Thank you, sir. Seeing Shri Amitabh Kant, I am reminded of a quote of Benjamin Franklin: either write something worth reading or do something worth writing. Shri Kant has done both. He has done several things worth writing during his illustrious career as a civil servant, launching several memorable campaigns: Kerala's God's Own Country, Incredible India, Atithi Devo Bhava. Also several initiatives like Make in India, Startup India, and Ease of Doing Business. His untiring work as CEO of Niti Aayog from 2016 to 2022, and now as India's G20 Sherpa. He has also written several books worth reading: Branding India, An Incredible Story, Incredible India 2.0, Made in India, 75 Years of Business and Enterprise, The Elephant Moves, India's New Place in the World. These campaigns, initiatives, and ideas woven in your books show your creative mind and understanding of grassroots problems. Sir, we have immensely benefited from the analysis of the problems of IBC ecosystem from a different angle. This analysis of 3 phases, this was new to us. As he said, after IBC, credit contracts have regained their sanctity and credit culture has changed, resulting in lowest NPA. However, delays need to be cut further and they require second generation of reforms using judicial process re-engineering, using technology, clarifying doubtful areas, considering cross-border insolvency. Sir, we will work on the same. I will also share that Sir was to go on an important official tour to Germany, but he kept his date with us. We are grateful to you for the same. Thank you, sir. Coming to Shri Anant Nageshwaran, sir. He has worked as economist, academician, columnist, chief investment officer. He sits on boards of several companies in different domains and has written several books on derivatives and financial market. So he's a very versatile personality, and I'm reminded of that versatility allows you to explore and embrace different perspectives. So Economic Survey of India of last few years, which were prepared under his leadership, have given very interesting perspective of IBC. Today as well, we got a very different perspective from him on IBC. How bankruptcy efficiency helps the economy as a whole, how it lengthens the period between credit boom and credit bust, and how it lessens the impact of credit bust. It makes us aware of the larger significance of the work we are doing in IBC ecosystem. Thank you, sir, for giving this new perspective. Coming to Shri Mittal, Chairperson IBBI, I am reminded of the words of John Maxwell, who said, "A leader is one who knows the way goes the way and shows the way. Under his guidance, everyone at IBBI is crystal clear about the way in which we have to proceed. He has always been a lighthouse providing clear directions to the ships in turbulent sea of IBC ecosystem. As brought out by him, IBBI has made greater strides. We have done large number of amendments and regulations, proposed several changes in the code, and we have achieved highest number of resolutions and admissions in last 2 years. Thank you, sir, for your leadership and for your inspiring words. John F. Kennedy said, as we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them. So ideas and perspectives given in all the addresses have been noted by us for action, and it will be our endeavor to give them shape. Arnold said, the worst bankrupt in the world is the man who has lost his enthusiasm. So, sirs, we are a young organization, 8 years old, and will try to show that we have not lost our enthusiasm and have not gone bankrupt, though we may have bankruptcy in our name. So, my appreciation and thanks are due to our brothers and sisters in the media, with whose help work done by the IBC ecosystem as a whole reaches the eyes and ears of the masses. I also take this opportunity to thank the judicial fraternity, especially members of NCLAT and NCLT, Ministry of Corporate Affairs, and governing board members who have provided us support and guidance throughout the year. I also thank our insolvency professional agencies, our experts from the community of insolvency professionals, IU, registered valuers, legal fraternity, academicians, government officers, creditors, who have contributed to the growth of IBC ecosystem and have helped us with their expertise at all times. I thank Shri Jayanti Prasad, whole-time member, and his team who untiringly worked with us to see this program is facilitated despite the last-minute change in venue. I also thank organizing team of Shri Jitesh John, and equally supported by Shri Satish Sethi, ED, and Ms. Medha Sekhar, who was managing it all on the ground. I also thank all my colleagues in IBBI and guests present here today and joining us online, who have taken keen interest in the program and have taken their time out of their busy schedule to attend this lecture. With these words, I propose this vote of thanks to be accepted with a generous round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, with this we conclude today's program. We at IBBI once again thank all the distinguished guests for gracing this occasion. And I request you to kindly join us for high tea to the left of this hall, right outside. And may I request everyone to kindly give way to the guests on the dais so that they can exit from the hall easily. Thank you again and have a nice evening.